What about our native pollinators? So in California, they feel we have about 1,500 different types of bees. These are native bees, and we don't really have. Honeybees are colony bees. They have a queen, and they have all worker bees. All the worker bees are females, and then but our bees that are native are called solitary bees. They have a whole different mode of living. They bore holes in wood. They live in the ground. They live in all kinds of places, but they don't really build a colony and make honey. So, and they're beautiful insects. They're from the size of an ant up to the huge bumblebees, and all different colors and shapes and sizes. And they pollinate. They're all specifically designed to pollinate certain types of plants. So we have lots and lots of those, and you should look really close in your yard to see them. You'll probably notice that there's some things out there that are bees that you wouldn't really thought of as bees. Lots
wasp bees?
Wasps are wasps, so they're different. Bees are they're quite a bit different. Yeah, they're a whole different. There's a whole group of bees, and they're bees for certain reasons. And wasps tend to be colonial type insects, but not all of them. Some are solitary brooders. So wasps are different, and wasps
eat other bugs sometimes.
correct. Wasps are highly beneficial. They sting us once in a while. They get in weird places, but they actually are predatory insects. Like the praying mantis. Praying mantis, it grabs bugs and eats them. So we all think of praying mantis as a good thing. But praying mantis don't sting us, so we don't think of them as any negative term. But wasps, on occasion, they sting us, or they'll chase us around, or they'll put nests in places that we don't want them. But wasps eat. They collect insects to feed to their young, so they're really beneficial. They also are pollinators. The adults tend to need nectar and pollen. That's their food source, but in their larval or young stage, they need some type of food source. Very often is either a dead or live insect. And they collect them out of your yard, and they either collect them and are predatory, where they actually take them off your plant and bury it in the ground and lay an egg on it or in it. And then their larvae eats out that insect and emerges as an adult later after pupates. Or the parasitic wasps, which there's billions in your yard. They'll parasitize aphids. You'll see plants that you've got infestation of aphids on them, and you'll see some that are active aphids. It's very obvious. They're green, live, moving a little bit. Then there's these other ones that are kind of whitish and all bulged up. Those are mummies. They're like a shell of an aphid that was parasitized by a tiny wasp that's like a micro ant, and it's a winged ant, it looks like. And they parasitize an aphid, a larvae grows inside, eats it, pupates, and then emerges. You'll see those little mummies with little holes right in the top. And you just have to look closer and closer, and you'll see all this stuff right in your yard. So wasps are really, they're taking the bugs out, and they are pollinating the plants. Super efficient.
Do wasps kill bees? Is that an insect
Once in a
they
great
use?
while. That's not very common. Once in a while they can kill bees, but that's not very common. I've seen some, but spiders kill bees. I've got some other insects. I'll show you. Pests on bees. What else? Flies. Believe it or not, there's all kinds of flies that are beneficial flies. Actually, all flies are beneficial if you think about it. They're nature's cleanup crew. They're not. We think of them as pests, but they're really, without them, there'd be a lot of stinky stuff around that won't go away because they eat it up. But there's this whole other sector of flies that are predatory flies. Those weird hover flies that buzz around in your house, that's a beneficial insect. They're out in your yard. They're actually laying eggs on your plants, which sounds gross, and then it hatches, and it's a maggot, and it's crawling around on your plant. But it's a predatory maggot, and it eats insects off your plant. There's a number of other ones that lay eggs on plants that eat insects. And then the flies are pollinators. They pollinate just as much as bees and everything. Of course, we know butterflies and moths and bird pollinators and all that stuff. just want to talk a little bit about native pollinators. So this is a type of wasp, and it's got a caterpillar in its jaws that it just pulled out of that sunflower, and it's going to now take it off the plant, burrow in the ground, put the caterpillar there, and lay an egg on it. And then its young will hatch, burrow into it, eat out the inside of that larvae, and then emerge later. I mean, they actually pull bugs off your plants. We see it all the time with urban farming. And the key to inviting these beneficial pollinators and beneficial insects in your yard is diversity. They say the measure of how to measure the health of an ecosystem is by measuring its diversity. So the more biologically diverse your garden is, which means the more tiny flowers, big flowers, medium-sized flowers, flowers of different species, the more diverse it is, the more balanced it will be. It'll draw the beneficials in, especially the little flowers like fennel, coriander, alyssum, things with the tiny little microflowers, achillea, yarrow, those ones that aren't as showy, like Queen Anne's lace, things that have the tiny flowers really attract lots of those tiny little beneficial insects. And they, it's really funny. The more I study this, the more appreciation I have for the tiniest things. The tiniest things do the biggest job, like the microorganisms. If we don't have them, we're going to be doing hydroponics. Hydroponics, there's not much nutrition in hydroponics. So that's a big bumblebee. That's another native wasp. Actually, that is a native bee. So it looks kind of strange. Doesn't look like a bee that we recognize, but that's a type of a native bee. I don't know what kind. There's many.
You said there's 1,500 different species?
Yeah, at last count, but it's hard to track insects. So humans and bees. So, I don't know if you know it, but people have been growing food for about 10,000 years, and the time frame kind of keeps getting pushed back. They think maybe it's about 12,000 years. We've been planting seeds in the ground and growing food. That's not that far back. People have been doing beekeeping for 30,000 years. That is weird. I mean, that is a long time that people learn how to work with bees and keep them. That means care for them, protect them, encourage them to produce more honey than they naturally need by caring for them, and then they're able to harvest the excess. That's a long time that people have been doing that. There's two species on the planet that have been written about the most. What are those? What would be the top one?
Bees.
Humans. The second one is bees. More has been written about bees than any other animal except us on this planet. And you can tell. I have a stack of like 12 books here, and I have another 12 at home. And you won't believe how many bee books are out. It's just insane. That's the best one, by the way, right here.
Beekeeping for
It really is good. It's like the best one you're going to find. So if there was one book, I have to admit it's really good. It's entertaining, and it really gives us good general overview of what you should do.
Do we know where they originate? You may have said that.
Honeybees? They live in Siberia. They live in all parts of Western and Eastern Europe. They live in parts of Europe they're under snow for 9 months of the year, and they only have 3 months of the year that they can go out and forage. And bees don't hibernate. Bees hunker down in a hive, and it's 95 degrees in that hive, and they use honey as their energy source, and they just buzz around and keep it hot under a big blanket of snow. Bees are amazing. You can beekeep in tropical environments and really snowy environments. So they don't really know where they originated, but they're Italian bees supposedly are the friendliest bees.
That's what it says. It says, get yourself Italian bees.
So manipulation of bees, or is it us that was manipulated? Because if you think about all these plants and animals and food crops and things that we think we've moved around and we are controlling, it's really the other way around. In all of these situations when we're working with organics and in the garden, the sooner we understand who's in control, the better off we're going to be. And we're not in control. It's the bug.